Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Bob Pompeani. We have much to get into, including the NHL, which expects to start sometime this summer. We're going to tell you what they have in mind. Also, Pitt disses Duquesne. We'll get into that basketball debate coming up. Major League Baseball and Blake Snell. But the #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown will center on the Steelers, specifically James Harrison, who claims he gave an envelope or received one from Mike Tomlin. We'll talk about it, and here's your panel. Two guys who know all about these topics. Rich Walsh, bottom left. My colleague here at KDKA, although he is no longer at home, he is in a different studio. So we're getting closer, yet still social distancing. Andrew Fillipponi's up at 93.7 The Fan, his home, during the week from 2 to 6 on 93.7. Let's begin, gentlemen, with James Harrison, who backpedaled after he initially came out and said there was a envelope exchange after he hit Mohamed Massaquoi. Now, this is going back a decade. So to me, it's head-scratching why he even brought it up in the first place. Rich, why did he bring it up in your estimation? And then why did he sort of backpedal?
You know, my best guess would be he's become now a hot take machine. He wants to land a TV or radio gig, and because that's going to be his future now. And I think he just wants to put something out there to get attention. It went viral. It did. I don't understand it. I totally believe the Steelers here on this whole scenario. It did not happen. Why would Mike Tomlin give him an envelope? James Harrison was making 3 times as much as Mike Tomlin at the time. And why would they put a bounty on Mohamed Massaquoi? He had like 6 catches coming into that game.
I don't think it was a bounty. I think they wanted to pay his fine. I do believe Tomlin gave him an envelope, but I don't think it was because of whatever stupid, silly Saints bounty thing they had, Bob. I think it was because Harrison was livid that he got fined. And they knew that he was a loose cannon. And Mike Tomlin, I thought this was a great players coach move. Give him some money to calm him down. And I think it worked for the rest of the year. So I actually think if it happened, it was a great coaching ploy by Mike Tomlin. And I listened to the audio on Cologne's podcast. I actually thought it was the one time in the interview Harrison was trying to go to bat for and stick up for Mike Tomlin.
How much money can you put in an envelope, though? You can't put $75,000 in an envelope, right?
It wasn't 75, wasn't it 50? Didn't it get reduced? Can you fit 50 in an envelope?
But if you're going to do it,
even if it's 10,000,
if it's after the fact, why do you have to put it in an envelope? You can do a lot of different things. By the way, Harrison's agent said it never happened. Again, my point here, Pony, is why would he bring it up if it never happened? Tell me why.
Because I think he was trying to make Mike Tomlin look like a coach that has his players back. You got screwed by the NFL. It was a witch hunt. We know the hit was crap. We know the hit was a legal hit. The fine is total garbage. And we're sticking up for you. Guys, I think that goes on in the NFL all the time. I think teams pay players and slip them money under the table for fines that they don't agree with all the time. I'll be honest with you. I would not be surprised if last year, if there was a collection that went around for Marquise Pouncey when he got suspended for what he did to Myles Garrett, because I know that team, I know those Steelers felt like that was a garbage suspension. I don't think a bounty happened here. Sean Payton, I blame Sean Payton, who blew this up into something that it wasn't. It wasn't Mike Tomlin saying if you hit Mohamed Massaquoi, you get X amount of dollars. I think he was sticking up for his player.
Here's what I question. Why is he sticking up for Tomlin now? He didn't stick up for him when the whole Antonio Brown ordeal was going on. He didn't stick up for him when he left the Steelers to go to the Patriots. Why is he sticking up for him now?
Well, I don't think that Harrison likes Tomlin, and I wouldn't like him either, honestly. If
Why?
I were James Harrison...
Mike Tomlin had everything to do with James Harrison becoming who he became. He was the guy who said, you're going to play for me after he was cut 4 times. Why would you think that he has something against Mike Tomlin?
Wait, you don't think he does?
I don't understand why he would carry himself this way after Mike Tomlin was the person who really believed in him and gave him the opportunity.
Let me ask you this question, Bob. Let me flip it on you. Why does Troy Polamalu hold a grudge against Tomlin?
He doesn't.
He doesn't?
I've talked to him. He doesn't. So that's fabrication, okay. Well, which a lot of stuff happens in this business, as we know.
Well, fair enough, but I don't think that this is fabrication. I don't think Harrison cares for Tomlin.
Well, where's the proof,
because
though? If you're going to make it, don't you have to have some sort of proof? Other than just this is 10 years later, Andrew. Don't you think there was a time where he could have done this if he really wanted to do it at some point earlier? Why now?
Guys, I don't think if he wanted to get Mike Tomlin in trouble with the NFL, why would he go on Instagram and take it back? Why wouldn't he double down? The intent was not to get Tomlin called into the principal's office. But Harrison dislikes the principal more than he dislikes Tomlin. He can't stand Goodell. He doesn't want Mike Tomlin to get in trouble with the NFL. Harrison doesn't like Tomlin because he benched him his last year here.
And he had good
I agree
reason.
with Harrison. I thought he was better than Bud Dupree. And he went. You didn't think Harrison was better than Dupree, Bob?
I think it came.
Harrison went and played.
Go ahead. First of all,
he played every snap for the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Fine. All I know is that James Harrison should owe the Steelers a debt of gratitude for everything that went on, and he's conducting himself in a complete opposite way. Let's move on. Now we're talking about James Conner. And it's funny because he put out a picture, several, of him, what he looks like after working out. I happen to be one of those people who believe that James Conner is one of these guys who will rebound. I know a lot of people don't, and a lot of people want to label him, oh, he's soft, he gets injured, he's never going to do it again. So, Rich, I don't understand this because I think all we have to go on is basically 2 years. One was a really good year that resulted in the Pro Bowl, and then was injury. He was injured 2 of the 3. Okay, fine. A lot of guys are injured. Why then do people have such a disparaging thought when it comes to James Conner? Like he is no good. They shouldn't even brought him back. They should have gone out and gotten more guys and not given him the opportunity to be the feature back, which Mike Tomlin still thinks he is.
Bob, I think you're on a panel with 2 guys that don't think he can turn it around and stay healthy. I don't think he's going to make an impact with this team this year. Maybe 4, 5, 6 games, and eventually he'll get hurt. He's been hurt since college. So why tell me it's going to change now? Yes, he can put up Instagram photos that show him ripped with his making muscles and tattoos and throwing logs over his head. Yes, he can do all those kind of things, but I go by an eye test too. Even when he was healthy, he's not Le'Veon Bell. I don't think he's a top running back. Not many people, but I don't think he's a top running back in the NFL.
I didn't say that. I said he was a feature back for this team. They believe that.
I think he's more of a 1-2 kind of punch guy if he stays healthy.
Bob, I mean, I'm not going to question the guy's heart, but, I mean, they made a movie about Rudy because he had a lot of heart and spirit, and that didn't make him a great football player. I think that Conner is motivated. I think he wants to be great. I think he's working to be great, but his body lets him down. And, look, I've never once said the Steelers should cut him. I've never once said get rid of him. I've said you need somebody who you know can withstand the punishment of a full NFL season. And James Conner's never done that. So that's why if you're going to criticize people that have said bring in somebody else, you're criticizing me because I don't think he's proven that he can withstand 16 games of 20 touches. That's why I want somebody else here.
Do you guys think they're going to re-sign him? Because I don't. I think this is his last year with the Steelers.
How about if he has a really good season? How about if he plays 16? That's what I'm saying. Everyone has come to the conclusion that he won't. They don't think Juju Smith-Schuster will. You're basically talking to me about 2 motivated guys who should have a lot riding on this season. I want that from my players. I want to see what they do.
Yeah,
they did it with Bud Dupree, and look what happened to Bud Dupree. You both badmouthed Bud Dupree, so did I. And what happened to Bud Dupree, Rich?
Okay.
I don't know if I ever badmouthed Bud Dupree.
Well, you're talking about whether or not to bring him a 5th-year option.
I was always
Most
hoping
people wanted him out of town.
Turn the corner there, and he did. Look, if they have all great years, none of them are going to be here. They don't have the money to spend on everyone. So Juju, Conner, Watt, Dupree,
I'm not saying that's a different argument. That's a different argument.
They're not going to pay. If James Conner goes out and rushes for 1,600 yards, they're not going to pay him the kind of money he's going to demand because they know his injury history.
And he will just put up a 16-game season or 17, which is running for 1,600 yards, and you're going to tell me that his history still precludes that.
Who are you going to give the money to?
What
if they both put up great years?
I understand the money crunch, but that's not the argument. We're out of time. We talked too much on that one. So I want to tell you that it's exciting when a team moves into a new building. Certainly true with the team at #1 Cochran Hyundai South Hills and their spacious new facility. Even though they only moved less than a mile up the street. Right now, for a limited time, get special grand opening offers in both sales and service. The new #1 Cochran Hyundai South Hills. It's now conveniently located at 3220 West Liberty Avenue. You can tell we're a little bit fired up tonight. Next up, Major League Baseball and plenty more right here on the Showdown. The #1 Cochran Sports Showdown is brought to you by #1 Cochran. Go one better. And by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. Have a greater hand in your health.